So this is the second of two introductory talks to Sufism, and what I wanted to talk about today are the qualities that you need for the path, the qualities that you need for the journey. And I'd like to begin with a quotation from Rumi when he says, "I have met people who are beautiful, intelligent, rich, and gracious, who seem to have everything, but who lack the mysterious sincerity essential for the path. And I have met people who seem to be wrecks and have nothing, neither elegance, nor beauty, nor attractive intelligence, and yet the pearl sat in the palm of their hands, because love within that was in their hearts and in its full passion. The passionate and all-consuming love of God is the immortal element within us, and with its courage and skill we can find the pearl. Without it we may find and own everything else, but what are other jewels to the pearl? All worlds and heavens together are worth far less than it, being just passing shadows of its eternal luster." So really the most essential thing that one needs for the journey, the most essential quality one needs is love. Love is the greatest secret of the universe, and yet it is the simplest thing that exists. And one needs to be able both to love and to be loved. This is the core of Sufism, love. And maybe at the beginning I need to explain a little bit about love, because in our culture we have, in a way, censored love. It's interesting, somebody was talking to me the other day about who comes from Pakistan, and they said in their culture they never talk about love. It is like too deep, too essential to be spoken about in the casual way that we in the West talk about love. And I think when we talk about love, we talk about this very censored, very personalized understanding of love. We have kind of hallmarked love. It has become this Hollywood phenomena. And as a mystic, one needs to reclaim or re-understand or reattune oneself to a very different love. And this reminds me of when I met somebody a number of years ago, and it was actually the first time I went to Omega, and I met her on a table sitting outside eating, and she said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm giving a seminar." And she said, "Seminar on what?" And I said, "Sufism." And she said, "Sufism, oh, that's about the darkness of love." And I was kind of really impressed that this person knew about the darkness of love, because the darkness of love is in many ways a mystical secret. It is very, very different to the love that is popularized in the West, the love that everybody seems to clamor for, to cling for, to get themselves into knots about. If you kind of are part of this Western culture, it is very hungry for love, and it looks for love mainly in personal relationships, and it hopes to be loved by the parents, and often it isn't loved by the parents, and then it looks for love in personal relationships, and out of that has become a whole drama of love. But it is a very different love to the love that the mystic knows. It is very different to this all-consuming passion that Rumi calls the one thing needful. Now, I had an interesting English upbringing in which I never knew about love, because like my friend in Pakistan, in the English family I grew up in, love was never mentioned. And I don't think it was very present either. There was material security, but there wasn't love. And I can't remember looking back in my childhood love ever being mentioned. I was sent off to boarding school at the age of 7, and there wasn't any love there. There was lots of football and cricket, but not much love. And it wasn't really till I was 19 and I met this Russian lady with these piercing blue eyes that I began to become introduced to love. So in a way, the love that I was introduced to was this other form of love. And the love, in fact, that Mrs. Tweedy had for her sheikh, this mysterious relationship of teacher and disciple that was both incredibly impersonal and incredibly absorbing. And it was a love that was beyond life and death, that belonged to the soul, that was much deeper than any other aspect of love. And then on this journey, it kind of took me into this other dimension of love, which is what I began to understand. And maybe I should say that one of the experiences I had in meditation, because I have meditated a lot, was in meditation you can go beyond the outer world, this world of forms, this world of images, and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper into what the Sufis call non-being, into what is behind creation, into the dazzling darkness, and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. And what I discovered in that is there is a place where out of the nothingness, out of the emptiness, love comes into existence. If you like, there is a doorway, or there is like a stream coming out of the ground, out of this primal emptiness that is behind creation, out of this vast, unknown, unknowable. There is a place where love comes into creation, where this energy of love begins to flow. And it is an energy, it is a power, it is really a source of life. And there is no person, there is not even the drama of lover and beloved that is so central to Sufism. It is really out of the darkness that comes this energy. And actually at the beginning, when you first experience it, it is dark, it is black, it is the same color as the nothingness out of which it comes. And then it comes into creation, and there is this extraordinary moment, like it happens to light, because light, spiritual light, is very pure, it has no color, which is why the Sufis talk about the color of God being like the color of water, or the color of love being like the color of water. It has no color of its own. It is so pure, it is so fine, and then it hits the planes of creation, and then there comes this rainbow colors of love, all the different qualities of love that we can relate to in this world. But what I want to do is, from the very beginning, to take it out of this personal sphere into which we have trapped love. We have personalized it, so it's lost its power. We have done that, of course, with many, many spiritual energies in the West. I was even thinking recently how we've actually done that with the gods and goddesses. We have made them into our own personal images, our own even psychological icons, and thus stripped them of their power so that we can have a personal relationship with them. We've lost their numinous energy, their authority, their power. And in a way, in Sufism, one has to reclaim this primal energy of love, because that is what you work with. That is what nourishes you. That's what feeds your soul. That's what takes you back to God. And really, as a Sufi, one has to be able to bear that element of love, that dynamic of love, that power of love, that passion of love. Because this is what, in a way, tears your heart apart and takes you back to God. This is what you work with. And you have both to bear it, to have a heart strong enough. You even actually need to have a physical heart that is strong enough to bear love, but also a spiritual heart that is strong enough to bear this love, and to be prepared to work with it, to be prepared to be engaged with love, to be prepared to be a lover, a beloved, to be taken apart and remade with love. So, first, in a way, if you can put aside all the images you have of love, as I say, sadly, in the West, love has become popularized to such a degree it has lost its passion, it has lost its power, it has lost its elemental quality. There's actually a lovely passage from James Joyce's Ulysses. It's called Molly Bloom's Soliloquy, that is, I think, partly Joyce's attempt to recapture that essential quality of love. This is not some idealized passion, this is not some Hollywood image. And in a way, if you compare, at the beginning I said it's this energy that comes out of the uncreated world. It is this dark power, very mysterious, that is at the foundation of creation, and then it comes into creation where it becomes all these many, many colors and qualities. And this is what James Joyce captures in, I find, the most potent way. And this is, say, Molly Bloom's Soliloquy in Ulysses. Oh, and the sea crimsons sometimes like fire, and the glorious sunsets and the fig trees and the Alameda gardens, yes, and all the queer little streets and pink and blue and yellow houses and rose gardens and the jessamine and geranium and cactuses and Gibraltar as a girl where I was a flower of the mountains, yes, when I put the rose in my hair like the Andalusian girls used, or shall I wear a red, yes, and how he kissed me under the Moorish wall, and I thought, well, as well him as another, and then I asked him with my eyes to ask again, yes, and then he asked me, would I, yes, to say yes, my mountain flower, and first I put my arms around him, yes, and drew him down to me so he could feel my breasts all perfume, yes, and his heart was going like mad, and yes, I said, yes, I will, yes. So that to me is an affirmation of human love in its very tangible qualities. And in a way, as a mystic, you learn to live both with the intangible and the human, because this power of love, this passion of love that is what takes you on the journey, is both an incredibly fine spiritual substance, but it also goes into every cell of your body. And this was actually one of the first real experiences I had of love, of what I would call real love. And it wasn't until I must have been 29. And I remember the afternoon I was lying down in meditation in my teacher's meditation room. And suddenly there was this butterfly wings on the edge of my heart. That's how I describe it. They were like butterfly wings, just touching the edge of my heart. And then slowly this love was infused into my body, into my being, first through the heart, and then it went into every cell of my body. And it was pure love. There was nobody there, there was no person. It was just love. It was just this essential quality of love that went from my heart through all of me. It went through the veins of my body, of my being. And I felt it in every cell of my body, this love that was nourishing me, that was feeding me. And this is this quality of love, this energy of love that is both incredibly powerful, because one thing you do experience on this journey, on this immersion in love, and Sufism is about being immersed in love. It is like being drowned in love. These are the metaphors, these are the images that Sufis use to describe this experience. You are drowned in love, you are lost in love, you are merged in love. And it is like this because it goes through all of you. And what always intrigues me is in personal relationships, which is where we have been taught to look for love. And we have really been educated in this culture that that is where you get love. You should have got it from your parents, and if you didn't get it from your parents, you must look for it in the relationship with another, in your partner, or your parent substitute, or maybe even in your child. We are educated, that's where you find love. And yet, in this personal love, there are all the barriers that you put up. And we are even educated, it seems, to have barriers between us and other people, to protect ourselves so we don't get violated, so we don't get hurt, so we claim our own identity. And these are all important psychological tools that we learn to keep ourselves separate, to protect ourselves. And yet, with this other love, when I was lying in meditation and I felt this love inside of me, there was no person, so there was no drama of protection. I had no barriers because it came from the inside of my heart. It came from within. It melted me from within. And that is why it is so potent and so powerful and so dangerous. And that is why the Sufi says, keep away from the lane of love. Because everything else you can protect yourself against. And we are very good at it. We've been educated to protect ourselves. We've been educated to isolate ourselves. But the Sufi actually says, take one sip of this wine of divine love, and you are lost forever. Because it is so potent, it doesn't come through the places in ourselves where we have this resistance. It goes from the inside of our heart. That's where it starts, and we have no resistance there, and that is why it is so dangerous and so powerful. And it just belongs to God. Not God initially really as a personal relationship. This is really one of the dichotomies in Sufism, that you do have a very personal relationship with the beloved, with God. For Sufis, he is the beloved because it is a love affair, and it is very intimate, and it is also very, very, very impersonal. And maybe I should just tell a little bit of the stories of love, because Sufism is really just about the stories of love. If you read 1,000 Sufi stories, if you read 1,000 Sufi poems, each one is just another story of love. It's just another love story. And in a way, your own journey is just a fragment of his love story. This is the mystery that you are taking part in Sufism. You are taking part in God's love story. The mysterious way in which he brings love into creation and then draws it back to himself. But Rumi writes, in the end, a man tires of everything except heart's desiring, soul's journeying. Sultan, saint, pickpocket, love has everyone by the ear, dragging us to God by secret ways. I never knew that God too desires us. And it is important from the very beginning to realize that we are taken by love back to God. That is really, in a way, all that it is about. It's said in the Quran, Allah guides to Allah whom Allah will. And we are taken by this mysterious substance of love by God back to God. In the end, a man tires of everything except heart's desiring and soul's journeying. In the end, the things of this world fall away and you are left with this essential substance of love. And remember, I said it is the very first energy that comes into creation. It is actually the underpinnings of everything. It is the foundation of everything. Again, that has all been censored from our culture. We have put love in a nice little pocket and said, yes, it can create a certain amount of pain, a certain amount of difficulty, a certain amount of bliss and psychological problems. But the raw power of love has been exorcised, has been taken away. And as a mystic, you have to reclaim it. And you have to reclaim the fact that it is this energy in creation that wants you to go home. Which is why, for the Sufi, it is a journey home. We talk about homesickness. We talk about the cry of the soul. You want to go home. And it is really, I have been involved in this for almost 40 years now, and there is this deep homesickness. You want to go home. You want to go back to God where you belong, and it belongs in the heart, and it is a feeling of love in the heart. You just want to go home. And that is the quality you need for the journey. You don't have to be strong, you don't have to be wise, you don't have to be intelligent. You just have to have longing, you have to have this homesickness, you have to have this poison. And in fact, in our particular path, the Naqshbandi tradition to which I belong, our Sheikh said the disciple progresses through love. The whole thing is about love. And he said if the disciple does not have enough love, then love is created in the heart. That is again part of the mystery, the esoteric mystery that has been forgotten. Remember I said last week about the two seas meet, where the seas of the beyond comes to the sea of this world, and the sea of the beyond is this infinite ocean of love. I wish you all at one time before you die could see it. It is incredibly beautiful. I always describe it as a sea in which the sun never sets, because it is this infinite ocean of love, and it is part of creation but hidden from creation. And it comes into your heart. It is the secret of the human heart, that it can contain this infinite ocean of love. This little thing we have here, this little place that we can even touch in our physical body, there is this extraordinary spiritual organ. It is said, heaven and earth cannot contain me, but the heart of my devoted servant can. And into that little chamber in the heart can come this infinite ocean. And it can be given to you. You can be given love. I didn't understand that for a long time, because I had this conditioning, say, of love is something to do with a personal relationship. But then I began to discover this mystery of love, that you can actually just give love to human beings. You can just pour love into them like you would fill a glass with wine. You just fill them with love. It is incredibly addictive because it is so pure. It bypasses the mind. That is why it can be so confusing. It is interesting to see actually how it gets played out in the human arena. Because when you fall in love, which is an important human experience for many people, you can become a little bit forgetful. You maybe forget your appointments. Your mind doesn't work as well as it was before. And you don't really understand that this is actually one of the qualities of love. It disturbs the mind. Attar, the great Sufi, he said, when love comes, reason disappears. Reason cannot live with the folly of love. Because it is this other substance that just goes into the heart, and It bypasses the mind. It makes you a little bit crazy. It makes you drunk. Sometimes you can be literally drunk on spiritual love. Most of us have had the experience of being drunk on alcohol. It's kind of an initiation of youth in our culture. But you can be drunk on love. And really, you're even unsteady on your feet sometimes. And you just go around in a haze. You're completely drunk on love. And that is why Sufis are called drunkards. Sufis are called fools. That is why Sufis talk about the tavern of ruin. This tavern, this place of drunkards that destroys you, that ruins your reputation, that is about love. It is, who do you think I am? A drunkard, a lovesick fool, a slave of my senses, made senseless by desire. Understand, I have risen above all that. I am the king of love in majesty. Love is the essence of my being. Love is fire, and I am wood, burnt by the flame. Love has moved in and adorned the house. Myself tied up its bundle and left. You imagine that you see me, but I no longer exist. What remains is the beloved. That's love. That's the love that the Sufis understand. That's the love that the Sufis work with. That's the love that you have to be able to bear. That is the love that is about annihilation, this incredibly painful and sweet and bitter pill that is what makes you a lover of God, or what unmakes you, so something in you can learn to love God. I never knew what it meant to love. I have no understanding. It was not part of my upbringing. You know? And then love came. And love did the most strange and crazy things to me. Love changed everything upside down, from being an English middle-class schoolboy to sitting at the feet of this Russian lady whose eyes were intoxicated with God, wanting something. What was it that I wanted? What was this love? She just spoke about her sheikh with love. Not the love that wants something, not the love that's full of desires, but the love that it just puts its head to the ground. The love that is just, in which you forget yourself. If you really love, you forget yourself. You are lost in love. You want nothing for yourself because you are given everything. And this was the love to which I was introduced. This was the love that changed my mind, that changed my heart. And then I discovered it can be given to other people. As I said, if you don't, on this path, love can be created in the heart. And you can wake up somebody's heart, and you can pour love into it, and you see the light change in their eyes, and you know then they are ready to take the journey back to God. It's why Sufi says, in fact, what matters is not having love, but wanting love. What matters, don't look for water, be thirsty. If the magnet were not loving, how could it attract the iron with such longing? If love were not there, the straw would not seek the amber. This is what it's all about. We are the iron filings attracted by this magnet of love. Once it has been woken up, once your heart has been touched by this substance of love, it's very, very dangerous. People don't realize how dangerous love is, because you can have no defenses against love. Everything else you can defend yourself, but you want love. Everybody is hungry for love. Find me somebody who doesn't want to be loved. We all want it. But if we get given it, in its purest substance, like 100% proof alcohol, it makes your mind crazy. It really is why Sufis have been called drunkards and fools and idiots of God. And that is what you need to be able to bear. You need to be able to bear being turned upside down by love. When all your values, everything you think is important. And then you get loved. And then you will give up everything just for another sip of love. You will sit at the feet of your teacher just waiting to be loved. Yes, it's psychologically disastrous. It creates all sorts of projections. And they don't matter because all that matters to you is the love. To be loved like that. And to learn to love like that. Where you want nothing for yourself, where it is, and it is very, very, very powerful. Again, we have forgotten the power of love. Love can change everything. It is the substance of life, actually. Well, it's interesting because we all look for it, but it is everywhere. Once you learn to see love, I mean, everything is made of love. This chair is made of love. This table is made of love. I think love is like the space between the atoms. Love is also, the mystics see it as what makes the atoms turn. They turn on an axis of love. Otherwise there would be no light to it. Otherwise it wouldn't really exist. Everything comes into existence through love. And that is the foundation of life, is love. But as a Sufi, you learn to work with it. You learn to make it conscious. You learn to breathe with this love. When you do the zikr, you are immersing yourself in this love. And say it starts to change your values, what is important. It is like, the Sufis say that if you have $5 in your pocket and that's all you have, that is really important to you. This $5 are really what matters. But if somebody puts $5 million in your other pocket, somehow the $5 don't matter so much. And this is what happens with love. You get loved. You get loved in a way that is limitless, because love's nature is limitless. The very nature of love is limitless. You can't buy it, you can't sell it, but you can be given it. It makes no sense of all of the values of our culture. Because even in our human relationships, we have been taught to parcel out love, You give a little bit of love and you hope to get some love back. It's why actually a friend of mine, she died now, she said one of the greatest preparations for her for spiritual life was working with autistic children. Because she said with autistic children, however much you love them, you got nothing in return. So it broke through the barriers of which we have conditioned ourselves, which is you give love and you expect love in return. And love for God doesn't work like that. Sometimes you are loved so much and you are completely worthless. You have done nothing to deserve it. You are not worthy to be loved. And sometimes you love and you love and you love, and it seems you get nothing back. There's this incredibly potent line by this British mystical poet, Gerald Manley Hopkins, when he says, "And my lament is cries countless, cries like dead letters sent to him who lives, alas, away." When you love and you love and you long and it seems you get nothing back. Because it's not about you. It's not about what you want. It has nothing to do with that. And you have to be able to bear both the sweetness of love and also the emptiness of love. Because sometimes it seems there is nothing there. For days, for weeks, for months, even for years. Love is very, very strange. We have so little understanding of love because Jamy says, "You may try 100 things, but love alone will release you from yourself. So never flee from love, not even from love in an earthly guise. for it is a preparation for the supreme truth. That's why as a Sufi you learn to be with love in all of its forms, in human relationships, in whatever way love comes to you, whatever way the beloved appears to you. You have to be prepared to pick up that thread of love. When love comes to you, follow it. The Sufis have all this imagery of the musk deer following the musk, or following the musk of the musk deer. You follow this scent of love. You follow it wherever it takes you, this mysterious fragrance of love. You don't know where it comes from, you don't know where it is going to, because it is love. It's not something you can buy or sell, you cannot bargain with it. And He has so much love. God has so much love, and He is love itself. And it is already there. This is what is puzzling. The more I meditate on it, the more I sit with it, to think that this whole human dilemma is what we long for is all around us. But we don't see it, we don't taste it, except a little bit. It is like the fish who go to search for water. We are like that, searching for love. But this room is now completely saturated with love. It is completely full of love. There are even angels dancing with love in this room now. Because I've been talking about love and your hearts have been open to love. And angels love that, spiritual beings love that, because they miss it, because most of what human beings talk about doesn't mean anything to them, you know? Buying and selling and cappuccinos and cars and, you know? But love they understand. Love has a light that is both incredibly human and incredibly spiritual. And so they come looking, they tell all their friends to come, so they can hear the hearts of human beings talking about love. It's why when there is a real spiritual gathering, there are so many entities come to listen, to be bathed in this particular fragrance of love that is both human and divine, that belongs to God and yet is in the hearts of human beings. It is one of the great secrets of creation that Sufis have always held, this love, to live it both as a human being and it is also completely divine. That's why it is so terrible. That is why, because it is not about the way you imagine yourself. It is about something completely different. This love sacrifices all souls, however wise, however awakened, cuts off their heads without a sword, hangs them without a scaffold. We are the guests of the one who devours his guests, the friend of the one who slaughters his friends. We are like the night, earth's shadow. He is the sun. He splits open the night with a sword soaked in dawn. That is the terrible beauty of love, because it cuts through everything, every resistance, every pattern, every identity. It doesn't care. It just wants to immerse you in love. It just wants this love to flow through your veins, to awaken your mind so you remember that you are love, so that you remember that you belong to love. You remember your divine heritage. There are certain ways to awaken a human being. There are books written about it. Mostly they have been forgotten now. But there are these ancient texts about how to awaken a human being. And they were given, these ancient texts were given to different spiritual traditions at the very dawn of humanity. And Sufis got given the books of love. These ancient techniques of how to awaken a human being through love, how to transform a human being through love. Those are the books of love that were handed down to the Sufi ancestors, that Sufis have worked with, so they understand the mysteries of this divine love. And really the only quality you need is to want to be loved and to be able to bear this terrible, terrible love that will we can suffer psychologically, we can suffer physically. And many people do. But if you suffer with your heart, that is a different category of pain altogether. I don't want to talk too much about it today because the sun is shining and the bay is beautiful and it's a nice afternoon and I don't feel like it, Other times I have talked about it, but just to remind you, just at the back of your mind, that there is this other quality of love that is like a knife. It goes straight into your heart and then it twists inside of your heart. Sufis call it longing. It's a nice word. If you really experience that knife inside of your heart, I don't think there is any pain that is more potent, because just as you have no resistance to the sweetness of love, you have no barriers to this real pain of love. And that's what puts many people off. They begin, wouldn't it might be nice to be a Sufi and do some dancing or do some chanting or hang around with some Sufis, It sounds nice, and you can read this poetry. And I remember somebody, they'd been coming to our group for about 8 years, and they said to me one day, they said, I didn't realize it actually happens to you. They'd read about it in the books, in the poems, but then something started to pierce their heart, to go right to the core of their heart, because it opens you up through pain, through this sweet pain, this poisonous pain of love. Love is a madman working his wild schemes, tearing off his clothes, running through the mountains, drinking poison, and now quietly choosing annihilation. These are beautiful poems. It sounds so nice, But at 2 a.m, when your heart is breaking, and that 2 a.m. goes on day after day, week after week, month after month. And nobody knows about it. It's a secret of love. You cry, yes. At 2 a.m. you cry. And you cry and you cry. But nobody knows about it. It is a secret of love. Crash the door and enter the chamber where all sweet things are hidden. How long can I beg and bargain for the things of this world while love is waiting? That is the call of love that takes you there, that takes you into the heart. That is what matters. So this is the love that really belongs to Sufism. Verily, God Almighty has a wine for his friends, such that when they drink of it, and you talk about the wine of love. Sufis always talk about the wine of love, because it is so intoxicating, it is so sweet, it is so dangerous, it is... Verily, Almighty God has a wine for his friends, such that when they drink of it, they become intoxicated. And once they are intoxicated, they become merry. And once they are merry, they become purged. And once they are purged, they become melted down. And once they are melted down, they become purified. And once they become purified, they arrive. And once they arrive, they become united with the divine. And once they are united with the divine, there is no distinction between them and their beloved. And it's all done through love. It just happens through love, through this sweet, intoxicating, divine poison that goes straight into your heart, and from your heart spreads through your psychological self, through your physical self, through your mental self, through all of you. Love is here like the blood in my veins and skin. It goes through all of you. This is love. This is this terrible, beautiful poison that is so sweet, that is so terribly, terribly sweet. It is so tender. It is so, so tender. Sometimes you look into the eyes of somebody when they come out of meditation and they have been in that place of love, And there is this sweet light of tenderness. And you know they have been with God in love. You know they have been lost in love with God, taken by love to God. And really all you have to do, like Molly Gloom, is to say yes to love. That is, in a way, the only quality that you need is to say yes to love and to bear love. And as I say, if you don't have enough love, you get given the love, and then you get given more love, and you get given more love, and you think, what is this thing called love? What is this passion of the soul? What is this medicine for madmen? It's called love. And it suits some people. It's a little bit too crazy for some people. They like a sensible path with stages and where they can progress. You can't progress in love. You don't get diplomas in love, you know? You don't get... Yes, there are initiations, but I suppose there are initiations in learning how to bear love, and in learning to love, in learning to... I don't know. It doesn't matter because it's love. And this is the only quality you need on this path is to be able to love and to be loved. And to have a sense of humor, because I say the whole thing is so ridiculous. Everybody else has to struggle for everything in this world. You know, even particularly in this country, I would say it's a real shame, this Puritan work ethic, that everything is a struggle. You have to stand on your own feet, and you do. But love is different. And like, you know, this very first quote I had from Rumi, I have met people who seem to be wrecks and have nothing, yet the pearls sat in the palm of their hands because love was in their hearts and in its full passion. There are just people, they're not very good at anything else, but they know how to love and to be loved. They know how to live the secret of love. And you know, the real secret of love is say that we are all love. That's really all we are. They say we are made 80% of water. Yes, but we're made 100% of love. Even when we forget God, it is still love. Even our darkness and our problems, that is one of the deeper secrets of creation, are still love. Even our anger is actually love. Love turned against itself in a very subtle way. Everything is love. We are all love. And we look for it, and we hunger for it, and we want it, and we run away from it, and we make dramas about love, we make movies about love. But it's like the fish in the water. We are love, living in love. And the Sufi is just somebody who wants to discover that, who wants to drink the water all around them, and maybe one day to make this journey to the farther shores of love, to go into the ocean of love, and to see what happens on the other side of love. Because there something extraordinary is born. That is where stars come into existence. That's where universes are born. In this melting pot of love. And you can go there. Or you can be taken there, probably is better to say, because that is the part of the secret of love, beyond the ocean of love. And something, what is interesting is something at this very time is happening there, in that place where love comes into existence. A certain change is taking place that will have very, very, very far-reaching consequences. Because if you change something in the note of creation, you know, they say we are facing a crisis. Yes, it is a crisis, but the world has been through many crises. But when the very note of love as it comes into creation starts to change, That is significant. That is, something is happening in the very substance of creation. Something is waking up in the very core of creation, because something is being put into the love as it comes into the world that wasn't there before. And it's in your own hearts, it's not far away.